Essay type 9, and again lots of questions. 7 questions to be precise. Hotspot System is considering a proposal to develop a new line of electronics games based on books and movies targeting the teenage market. The Oceanport office complex, one of the company's 5 facilities, has been idle for the last 15 months. This is the facility available for this project. The project, which is expected to last 7 years, would utilize the entire capacity of this Oceanport office. We have this available office. We can use this for our project, and the whole of this building will be used for this project. Hotspot System uses the internal rate of return for evaluating capital expenditure proposal. The established hurdle rate is 11%, and the company's marginal income tax rate is 30%. Okay. Hotspot management is reviewing the following items to determine whether they should be included in the annual cash flows to be used in IRR or not. So we have a vacant office, Ocean office, and we will be using this for the project. So there definitely will be some opportunity cost. Either we could have sold it or used it for the project. If the project is not approved, Hotspot will sell the Ocean office complex for $2 million. This is the perfect example of opportunity cost. If we do not, or if the project is rejected, not approved, the alternative use of this Hotspot Ocean office is that we may sell it for $2 million. Else we might use it for the project. Hotspot currently carries the Oceanport office complex at a book value of $1.5 million. This is the market value for which this could be sold. This is the book value. The difference between these two is the gain on disposal. Hotspot expects to pay licensing costs to the owners of the books and movies. These books and movies will be used for this project, and we need to pay the licensing fee to the books and movies owners, those who have the copyrights. Research and development totaling $350 has already been expended. Gentlemen, ladies, important point, the amount that has already been spent, the past outlay, it's a sunk cost. Ignore this. It's an accounting cost appearing in your accounting records, but for project evaluation, this is the gone. Cost is gone. Research and development totaling $350,000 has already been expended on the design of the new game, so this is irrelevant cost already been paid. Remember, the relevant cash flows are FDA from the future. They differ between the options. They are avoidable. Whether the cost or revenue, apply this criteria. Any of these criteria if met means that cost and revenue is relevant. Additional computer equipment incorporating the latest technology will be purchased for $125,000 and installed for the project. This is the initial investment. For tax purposes, the life of the equipment would be 5 years, and Hotspot uses straight line depreciation method for tax purposes. So this $125,000 will be split over 5 years, representing, I think, $25,000 depreciation every year. It will attract depreciation tax shield. A one-time increase in working capital of $75,000 is required to begin the project. This is the initial investment needed in working capital. A major introductory advertisement program to promote the new games is planned to begin immediately upon the project approval. At the end of the project's life, the Oceanport office complex will be sold in excess of the value recorded for financial reporting purposes. At the end of the project life, which we call the terminal cash flows, Oceanport office complex, which we are using, will be sold in excess of the value recorded for the financial reporting purposes. It means at the end of the project, it will be sold at a sizable gain on disposal at the end of the life of the project, also called the terminal cash flows. Question number 1, calculate the net cash flow impact if Hotspot sells the Oceanport office complex. If we sell this office right now, what is the cash flow impact? We can sell it right now for $2 million, but its book value is $1.5 million. We receive $2 million. There is no doubt about that. This is the cash inflow. This is the cash inflow. But since death and taxes, they cannot be avoided. These are the two inevitables. So you have to pay tax on the gain. What is the gain? Disposal value is $2 million. Book value is $1.5 million. You have made a gain of $500,000, and this gain is taxable at the rate must be given somewhere. Is it 30%? So you have to pay tax at the rate of 30%. Most of the questions in your CMA course, Gleimhawk, Wiley, Becker, etc., 40% is given. Mostly questions. In very few, 35%. And this is one of those rares where you get 30% tax rate. So whatever rate is given, you have to do. You don't need to assume that it's 40%. So this is the gain, and this gain will be taxed at the rate of 30%. 30% of 500,000 is 150. So finally, what is the result? We received $2 million on the disposal of the building. Since there is a gain on disposal, we will have to pay $150,000 as a tax on gain. Net amount is $1.85 million. Give it in any format you deem fit, and that's your answer. $1.85 million is the net cash after the tax impact for the disposal of Ocean Port office complex. Just this much, not more, not less. Brief, to the point, khalas. Explain how the potential net cash flow from the sale of Ocean Port should be considered in the decision to pursue the project. If we do not dispose this building, how should we consider the net impact of this 1.85 million? We've just calculated. 1.85 million is what we can get right now. By not engaging in this project, we can sell this building for 1.85 million right now. What the question says. What the question says, explain how the potential net cash flow from the sale of Ocean Port should be considered in the decision to pursue the project. If you pursue the project, you are giving up this 1.85 million. This 1.85 million will be considered as an opportunity cost for the project, because this is what you are sacrificing for the project. This is what you are sacrificing. Opportunity cost of the project is 1.85 million. So this is what you are sacrificing for the project. So this 1.85 million is an opportunity cost, and it must be shown as a negative cash. How would you report it? How will you use it in your computation? The project, I believe, is for 7 years long. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So this 1.85 million will be shown as an initial outflow. Even no cash has left your company, but this is what we have sacrificed for this project. So your sacrifice, your opportunity cost will be considered as an outflow for this project. There are other outflows also, but we are specifically talking about this building that is being used for the project, thereby sacrificing this amount. So this is what the response says. It says 1.85 million is an opportunity cost. It will be lost if you pursue the project. Right? So 1.85 million is an opportunity cost. It will be lost or pushed later. It might be disposed of later. So if the company decides to use the Ocean Port to make the games, this is wrong. This is wrong. It's 1.85 million. This 1.85 million should be included as a zero period cost or the initial outflow at the start of the project. Right? So I hope you got the idea. This was question number 2. Next. Identify and explain one advantage and one disadvantage of licensing agreement based on the percentage of game sales as compared to licensing agreement based upon flat fee. It's a good question you would have discussed in your in your section C, CVP analysis. Cost can take 2 forms: variable cost, fixed cost. Just like in this case. Identify and explain one advantage and one disadvantage of licensing agreement based upon the percentage of game sales. Licensing cost could be based upon the percentage of sales. Let me mark this one. Or it could be a licensing agreement based upon the flat fee. Which one would you opt? You need to give the advantage and disadvantage. Now, this is an interesting question. We have already read operating leverage. Whenever the cost is fixed, it results in higher operating leverage. Having higher operating leverage means higher risk. You have to pay a certain licensing agreement fee as fixed fee. It increases risk. Since risk goes up, the opportunity of reward goes up as well. How? You just have to pay fixed fee. Fee isn't given, I think. Let's say if the fixed fee is $100,000 per year, you pay this fixed amount of licensing fee every year. Your revenue could be 100 times more, but you just have to give a fixed $100,000. This time there's an upside potential. You have to just pay $100,000 fixed. You can earn 100 times more. The original company that have granted you the license, they can't claim more. So in this case, it's good. Look at the downside risk. What if there's a market downturn? You are not able to produce or sell anything. No, you are not able to make good use of this license. Still, you have to pay this $100,000. So it means the advantage of fixed fee is when there is upturn, the market is doing well, you make a lot of money, but you have to pay fixed amount of fee. But in case if the market takes a downturn, you will have to pay this amount irrespective whether you have some revenue or not. So you have seen it from both advantage and disadvantage side. Now let us see what about the percentage of game sales. Its advantage is that it has a low risk. Why? Because it's a variable cost. If your revenue is higher, if your game sales revenue is higher, you pay higher percentage of sales. That's a drawback. It's a disadvantage. But when the sales are lower, you have to pay lower percentage of licensing fee, right? So for this, when the activity goes up, you pay more. That's a drawback. But if there is a downside risk, means if the activity is less, if the potential of your products sales are less, you have to pay lower fee. So there are advantages and disadvantages both sides. In upturn, the fixed flat fee is good. If the business is having downturn, then in this case, fixed percentage is good. At what point are you indifferent whether you go for the flat fee or the percentage of sales? We need to have numbers for that. There are many questions in your Gleim software that explain this idea. The indifferent point at which the decision maker is indifferent whether he goes for a fixed fee or a variable fee. So that's the idea. You just need to discuss the point around these lines, and I think it will be sufficient. What he said, the flat fee is riskier. As I said, if the license owners accepts a percentage of sales, they share the risk of poorer performance than expected sales. Poorer than expected sales. So flat fee will benefit the company if the sales are lower. Lower percentage of sales. Just a minute, I lost the track. If the license owner accepts a percentage of sales, they share the risk of poorer than expected sales. If the sales go down, you pay less percentage of sales, right? So you are sharing the risk with the license provider. Flat fee will benefit the company if the sales are lower percentage of sales. I think I've missed something here. Some text is missing here. I think I've explained the idea to you. Some text is missing here. While I think editing, something is missed. So remember the point. When the market is going up, fixed fee will help. Fixed licensing fee will help. If the market is going down, then the percentage of sales will help. And make the reverse in opposite order. A downturn will put you in trouble in case of fixed fee, and an upturn will put you in trouble. You have to pay more percentage of sales as a licensing fee. I think that conveys the idea as well, rather than these words which are a little inconsistent. Okay. Moving on to the next question. For the following items which are being reviewed by hotspot management, indicate how the item would be included in the project's cash flows and the year in which the cash flows will be affected. Research and development. Since this cost has already been paid, it is irrelevant. It will never be considered. Research and development cost will never be considered because it has already been paid. Ignore them. Just you need to write one line. You remember, you have to answer 7 questions. Most of the students fail on essay type because they try to overdo things. Be to the point, be specific, do not stretch things. You will put yourself in trouble. Apparently there are 7 questions, and look at this question 4. It has 5 subparts. So you need to keep that in mind as well. So research and development, the cost has already been sunk, ignored. It will be ignored. It is irrelevant. Finished. Move on to the next line. Additional computer equipment, it's a purchase as a part of initial investment. It will be shown as an outflow in T0. Finish. Khalas. Move no further. Working capital increase, represents an investment at the start, it will be shown as an outflow at T0. Finish. Introductory advertisement program incurred at the start of the project, it will be considered as an outflow at T0. Sale of Ocean Fort office at the end of the project, this is the terminal cash flow, and after tax impact of this cash flow will be considered in T7, I think T5, the 5 is the life of the project. It will be considered as a cash flow for year 5, the terminal cash flow. Just this one line for all these is sufficient. Do not overdo if you want to answer all the parts of this question. So that's all. 4 is done. Just one line for all this. He has also given one line for all this. Don't overdo. Do not over explain these things. One line for all of these is sufficient. Next. Explain how IRR is determined and what IRR measures. IRR is the rate of discount at which the present value of inflows is equal to present value of outflows. How is it determined? It is used by an iterative process, luckily which is not a part of your exam. You won't be required to use hit and error method, trial and error method to determine the IRR. You will have a simple questions of IRR which we discussed in the last week. So IRR is determined through an iterative process. So trial and error is a rate at which the present value of inflows is equal to present value of outflow. If you have a financial calculator, you just need to plug in the numbers. The calculator will calculate the IRR for you. Otherwise, in ACCA we use this specific method formula to calculate the IRR of a project. You are not required to do that. You will be given straight regular cash flows every year, and using those regular same annual cash flows, you will be required to calculate the IRR using the tables. Simple as that. What IRR measures? IRR is a rate at which the present value of the project at which NPV is 0. In other words, it equalizes the present value of inflows with the present value of outflows. First, you will tell what is IRR, how it is calculated, and what it measures. That's the description. IRR is determined by developing an annual cash flows for a project and determining the interest rate at which present value of inflows is equal to present value of outflows, or NPV 0. A project IRR is often calculated through an iterative trial and error method, or else you have a financial calculator, you can use it. So it's a rate at which the present value of inflows is equal to present value of outflows, or NPV is equal to 0. Right. Moving on. I think it's the same question, is it? Explain how IRR is determined and what IRR measures. Explain how IRR is used in the project appraisal and approval. Discussed this a little while earlier. If IRR is greater than the discount rate used in the computation, accept the project. If IRR is less than the discount rate, it means the project is to be rejected. It doesn't meet the company's desired rate of return. If IRR is exactly equal to the discount rate, even then the project is, because whatever the... So we have already discussed in the previous essay type, if IRR is higher than discount rate, go for it. Project is desirable. If IRR is less than discount rate, it means the project is giving a negative NPV, so it's not desirable. And finally, if the IRR is equal to discount rate, so that means at this rate, the project NPV will be 0. Do not overdo. Just these arrangements and given couple of lines will be sufficient to get you the full credit. Right? Just 2 or 3 lines is enough. Finally, compare and contrast IRR to net present value method for evaluating capital expenditure. We just discussed this in the previous essay type. NPV gives you absolute dollar amount of increase in the shareholder wealth, or the absolute dollar amount that the project will generate over the life of the project. So NPV discount each future cash flows, the hurdle rate, and compares the initial cost. You have spent a certain amount of money for a project, $10 million, right now T0. Whatever you will receive in the future, what that future amount is in the present terms, called the present value of inflows. We compare this present value of inflows with the initial investment, and then we determine the desirability of the project. If the present value of inflows is greater than the present value of outflows, sometimes or mostly initial investment, then the project is desirable. If the present value of inflows is less than the present value of outflows, project is not desirable. And if they are the same, inflows and outflows, it means the project discount rate is equal to IRR. Even then, whatever you are expecting from the project is generating. Even then, it is desirable, right? IRR criteria we have just discussed. So NPV has an advantage in that it shows the exact absolute dollar amount that this project will generate for the shareholders. Whereas IRR will give you a single summary rate. It is easy to explain, but it is not as useful as the net present value. IRR gives a percentage result which can be readily compared with the other projects, but comparatively, whenever we have to decide about the desirability of the project, we will always go for net present value. It is the superior method compared to IRR. Just on these lines, you can give in just couple of or 2 or 3 lines should be sufficient. Overdoing will not help you.